May I get in, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please take a seat.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you, sir.
Saravanan, no?
Yes, sir.
Please tell us about your background.
Sir, my name is Saravanan. I am 22 years old. I did my schooling in the outskirts of Chennai, and I completed my degree in Computer Science and Engineering from Madras Institute of Technology. I am the first graduate from my family. I was born in Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu. My hobbies include watching movies, reading comics, or following sports like football and cricket. And this is my first attempt in civil service examination, sir.
What are your options?
Anthropology, sir.
Anthropology. And the name of your school is?
School from 1 to 5th I studied in Jawaharlal Nehru Vidyalaya, sir, in Kumananjavadi, Punamalli, and 6th to 10th up to 10th I studied in Jawaharlal Nehru, sir, and 11th to 12th I studied in Nazrat in Avadi, sir.
Why do you want to join the civil services?
Sir, I consider civil service is the greatest work, and I think it's a privilege to work for our country, and it's a very demanding and challenging job, and I think it has the potential to give me great happiness and a great job satisfaction that other jobs fail to provide. And I'm the first, in a way, I'm the first one from my entire relations to clear even the prelims exam. So even my parents would be happy if I get into civil service.
Your first choice is IAS, second is IRS. Any particular reason?
Sir, it's my understanding of what will suit me better and my skills.
Usually people prefer IPS over IRS. Why have you put IRS above IPS?
So it's my own personal choice, sir. I thought my background in computer science and engineering can be used very efficiently in IRS than IPS.
But IFS is again your fifth choice, right? You are not
Yes, sir.
very much interested in foreign affairs. Any particular reason?
No, sir. I was given a choice and I selected based on what are my skill sets and my needs.
Your needs. But you follow foreign affairs, foreign developments, India's
Yes,
foreign
sir.
policy, etc.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you think is the most important geopolitical development at the present, globally?
Sir, I think the major development is the divergence of East and West, sir. Currently, more and more previous countries were closer to Russia, moving more and more closer to Europe.
The trigger, the development. What is that? I mean, East and West, that has been going on for some time, right? Even during the Cold War, the divergence was there.
Yes.
What is the most important development now that is unfolding before us?
The rise of China is a major development. It's going to change the power struggle in the world, the global sphere, and it's going to make us our own relations, our own national interests also very difficult. We have to balance our relations with China and Russia. So I think that's a major moment.
So you don't think Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a major incident?
Sir, it's a major incident, sir, but I thought in the lines of our own national interests, sir. Russia and Ukraine incident is not that much important to us than compared to the China's rise.
Yeah. So China's rise is, but it is a gradual development, right? It didn't start overnight.
Yes.
So India has been preparing for that, right?
Yes.
But on the other side, the Ukraine war has just happened all of a sudden.
Yes.
And don't you think that it put India in a very difficult position with regard to its relationship with the West? Post new challenges, or you don't think it doesn't pose any such major drastic challenge to Indian foreign policy?
No, sir. It does put a major challenge, sir. We have to balance between Russia and the US also. We are becoming more and more closer with the United States, and we have to balance our relations with Russia so that Russia doesn't get closer with China. So it made our condition pretty bad comparatively.
How do you articulate India's position with regard to the Ukraine war? Just give me in 3 points.
Sir, India's position is based on our national interest and principles, sir. Um, our main objective is we have to, as our Prime Minister said, this is not the time for war. So the main the way forward is we have to communicate with each other instead of going forward, instead of supporting sanctions that each side is putting on each other. We should sit together and create a solution to this problem, sir. I think India has been doing that very well, even in G20 also. India has been getting all the powers, and I think India is the only country. Our country is the only country that can do this, because every country is not as much influential as our country, and at the same time not having the same kind of relationship. We have good relationship with both the sides, but other countries don't have. So we are in a peculiar situation. We can make use of it, and it can be very much helpful for our own rise also.
Okay. So you said that China's rise is a very important development, right? So, and India, in terms of material power, economic development, economic strength, etc., China is far ahead, right? But you also have this border problem. How do you think, or in your view, India has to manage China?
Sir, India first should communicate with China. We should not create a situation that war is the only solution. I believe in saying that violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. So we should avoid violence at all costs. We should communicate with them with the diplomatic relations, and at the same time we should be prepared, because we cannot imagine that China won't do it. China have already done it, and it can do it. It can come into a war. So that we should prepare for us. We should create deterrence. I don't think China will come to a war with India being a nuclear power, and if China wants to achieve its ambitions, if it comes to war, comes to war with India, it's going to affect its ambitions. The US will still remain the superpower. So I think we have to balance that. We have to have relations with the West. We have to have the relations with the Southeast Asians also. We should communicate this in the global conferences or institutions, so that we will have a more soft power in the whole country. When things go bad, the world should stand beside us.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Today morning news story that China has somewhere brought Saudi Arabia and Iran together.
Yes.
Means their diplomatic relations not so good. So China somewhere was playing the role of intermediary. They have brokered this relation, and somewhere, right? Somewhere. It is almost trying to bring peace in this region. Tomorrow, if China is saying that, okay, India and Pakistan, you come, I will be helping out, what exactly is India's stand should be?
Sir, it's a good thing that China does that, but there are some national interest in our side that if negotiation shouldn't consider our position on Kashmir. If China comes and says, okay, we will divide Kashmir between us, that's not India should accept, because Kashmir is our own territory. They are illegally occupying it. So if China mediates between us, if it's going to give the Kashmir back and reduce violations, reduce terrorist attacks, and Pakistan's policy of promoting terrorism in India, there can be a good thing, sir.
What is the solution of Kashmir? What will be the futuristic solution? Assume that, okay, you are tomorrow's celebration. What exactly is the final call that we can take on Kashmir?
Sir, we have to wait, and we should create more developmental opportunities in Kashmir, so that people of Kashmir themselves think that they belong to our country, and we should do it for a long time. And when the time comes right, because we cannot go simply barge into Pakistan, because it is also a nuclear power. So that we should be patient, and we should look for opportunities and mediate with Pakistan also.
How do you visualize the future? What will be the solution? How do you visualize the future? Is that the entire Kashmir will be, say for example, coming to India? Or say for example, we'll be going for this plebiscite? Or you find, say for example, LOC will become the international boundary between India and Pakistan?
Sir, I think it will go to plebiscite, sir. Plebiscite is and people should decide for themselves. But I think entire Kashmir is our own territory only. But they have been under Pakistan control for so much long time. I don't think they will suddenly change their stance. So that's what I think, sir.
Okay, right. again on Kashmir, since you're taking the name of Kashmir. The problem of Kashmir started from 1947-48. But when I talk about implementation of this ASPA, Armed Force Special Means Powers Act, it came only in the year 1990 and 1991. Is there any reason why exactly these many years they have not implemented ASPA? Only in 1990 they have brought it?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure.
Fine. You're a long distance runner, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, when I talk about this long distance running, particularly when I talk about Kenyans, Ethiopians, or, so for example, people who are coming from the East African countries, right? They are more made for this long distance running. And when I talk about these West Africans, most of them, they are sprinters. So the question is, do you feel that genetic plays any important role in determining what exactly is the kind of sports you take and achieve?
Yes, sir. I believe genetic play a part of the role, sir. It's not like having great genetic advantage is going to give you, doesn't mean that you will win every time. Because in example like football also, Lionel Messi is only 5'7" and he doesn't have a great physique. But he is still considered as one of the greatest players. Yes, sir. So there are various examples, there are various exceptions. But genetic does play a role. The point you take, sir, that Kenyans won't come from the Great African Rift Valley. They're mostly from the hill areas. They are acclimatized to the low oxygen level, so that their oxygen carrying capacity is very efficient. That's why they're winning every time. So that gives an advantage, sir. So that we can, if we use it perfectly, then we can also improve our medal tallies.
Coming to India, taking the same argument to India, I find, say, for example, whenever I just talk about the larger share of the medal tally, forget about the exceptions coming from here and there. I find that, say, for example, people of Punjab and Haryana, they are more. People of Kerala, they are more when it comes to athletics. And, say, for example, northeastern states, there are more. When I talk about the people of the plains region or the plateau regions, it is very, very less. Is there any other reason why again?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure. I have ideas, but I'm not sure that that's the right thing.
Mr. Saravanan,
Yes, sir.
you're graduate in computer science,
Yes, sir.
apted for civil services.
Yes, sir.
You also told when Chairman's this one, you opted this public service because your specialization will help.
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me in your option is also first is civil service IAS and then you have gone for auditing, finance,
Yes, sir.
accounts and finance,
No, sir. Revenue, sir.
revenue services.
Yes.
So how can you use your skill in this revenue service? Just any idea?
Yes, sir. We can use for data collection, sir. Data collection and acting on the data. We can collect data and we can work on the data, process the data, and find out what are the real solutions is and where we should use our resources more efficiently. Where if we don't have to give, that's not a difference between equality and equity, sir. So we should find out where the situation is lacking, where the compliance is very less, find out the reasons, and with data we can data scientific decision making, sir.
The data is data security, data privacy, and data disaster. So can you explain briefly?
After 3 words.
All the three.
Sir.
Data security, data privacy, and data disaster.
Okay, sir. Data security in the sense, protection of data, sir. Protection of data from unauthorized access. That is data security. Data privacy in the sense, everybody has some sensitive data, and this sensitive data should be protected from others. Certain companies don't need this access to this sensitive data, and how we are protecting it. How we have the right to protect our data. And data disaster in the sense, what if companies source data and some data failures happen, some security failures happen, and if data is given access to some unauthorized people with malicious intent, then it can be termed as data disaster.
No, unauthorized access is security. This privacy, and disaster means totally losing. Your server is down. Your alternates, all arrangements are gone. You are losing totally all data.
Okay, sir.
That's a disaster.
Okay.
So totally you are now everything is the paperless.
Oh.
We keep everything in hard disk, soft copy. And once we lose the data, anything can happen.
Okay.
So we will be losing total information. So it will be a biggest disaster than the natural disasters. So how this can be, prevented, and what are the efforts government is doing? Department of Ministry of Information Technology,
Yes.
Electronic. They are doing it a lot of activities on that.
Yes.
Can you briefly explain?
Yes, sir. First, I will tell how we can prevent data disaster. We can prevent data disaster by investing more in cyber security, training professionals, skill development, and taking backup of the data. Having a backup in some remote servers will help if the entire data is lost. And the government scheme that I know as Cyber Surakshit Kendraya scheme, it provides skill development to professionals who involved in cyber security, and Cyber Swachh Kendra, which provides tools to normal people, to normal citizens of India, to check if their devices have any malwares present in them, sir. These are the schemes I know.
No, taking backup, it's a very simple one. You can't have a live data always by backup. But this is called disaster recovery, DR sites. You are aware of it?
No, sir.
The main server is there, and then there is a DR server. Mirroring, every information is mirrored.
Okay.
Even then there is a small microsecond gap will be there. It's a minimum. But 100% mirroring on your disaster recovery. It's called DR sites.
Okay.
It's a complete 100% duplicate on a different geographical location. And that is the one best way to have the disaster recovery, provided even that location is also protected.
Okay.
This is one thing, but this is a major this one. But what Government of India is also doing a lot of initiatives on that. You have any idea on that?
Sorry, sir, I know.
You studied economics, no?
Yes, sir. As a preparation
Part
for
of
civil
GS. So what is opportunity cost?
Sir, opportunity cost is the cost we gave up in trying to do something, sir.
You put your annual income of your mother as 0.
Yes, sir.
You should put the opportunity cost, no?
Yes, sir. But my mother is acclimatized to being a homemaker, and she prefers to be that way.
No, that is not the issue. Issue is many times we don't appreciate the fact that the lady working at home, her income is not 0, but the fact that she could have the same, depending on her educational qualification. Anyway, that's just to digress.
So it's okay, sir. Should I?
Yeah.
One more question. Is Indian Revenue Service is second option. There is customs and indirect taxes.
Yes.
So we have totally shifted from the earlier tax system to now GST.
Yes, sir.
So can you comment on that, the advantages, current situation?
So GST is indirect tax which replaced a lot of tax in the state departments, which unified the tax system, and it has a strong IT backup also, so that entire tax collection is done through IT systems. We don't need paperwork and all. So GST has ensured greater compliance of tax, and more and more people, and the tax collection is also increased, and it simplified the tax collection process. But some disadvantages are because it switched entirely to IT system, there is a high digital divide that present in our country. So those people are getting affected. They need to depend on some other people who charging highly. So, and also the different tax rates, because GST is introduced to remove the various tax rates between various states, but GST itself has a lot of tax rates. So it becomes a problem, sir. So these are the problems, but overall GST has ensured greater efficiency, also greater data collection also. We know who are paying, how much collection is happening. So overall it's good.
And year on month, year on year, it's tax collection is also increasing.
Yes, sir.
But there is a concept that when you have indirect tax collection is improving, so you should reduce the direct taxes, income tax, personal income taxes. There is a concept going on, but do you agree, or is it correct? Even slowly we should take away the direct tax when you are achieving the indirect tax completely, fully.
I don't think India is in a position to give up income tax, sir, because according to various data, India is one of the unequal countries of the world. We have a Gini coefficient of 0.3, which is better, okay, but average, but it's not good, sir. So that if we take up income tax as entirely, it's going to affect the poorer section of the people. It's going to
Not
increase
entirely, progressively.
progressively also. If it's going to affect the poor section of the people, and the inequality will increase, and inequality increasing is not good for the society, sir. There are going to be a lot of problems. So once we should ensure that inequality is very much reduced, and maybe we can do that, sir.
Mr. Saravanan,
Yes, Saravanan.
you said your father is a lorry transport agent.
Yes.
From the beginning, he is doing that.
Yes, sir. He worked in a company 5 years before he started his own venture, sir.
Okay, fine. So basically, your father hails from Tuticorin.
Yes.
Okay. So Tuticorin is famous for what?
Sir, Tuticorin is famous for a lot of things. It is the home place of our freedom fighter V.O. Chidambaram Pillai and Kavimani Bharadiyar, and it has a rich in biodiversity also. It has the Gulf of Nar Biodiversity Reserve, and it is home to the Kalakad Munandurai Tiger Reserve, and the city name itself, Thoothukudi itself, is translated into PL city. So there are a lot of PL manufacturing, PL taking from sea, and there is also a lot of shipments and a lot of industries clustered in Thoothukudi, sir. It's one of the fastest developing districts of Tamil Nadu.
It's
So-
pronounced as pearl, not pear. Pearl.
Pearl.
You
Okay,
use
sir.
the white thing, no?
Yes, sir.
Pearl.
Sorry.
So if anyone thinks, immediately they think of pearl only. Tuticorin means Muthukudital.
Yes.
Is it not? So immediately that will come. Then the Tuticorin port,
Yes.
which is very important port for many this thing. As far as agriculture produce is concerned, Tuticorin is much important than Chennai port sometimes because of that location. Okay, what is GI? Any idea? GI?
Sir, GA stands for, I think it's geographic indication, sir.
Indication.
There may be a major.
Yeah. So you are from Tirunelveli, correct?
Yes, sir.
So whether Tirunelveli has any GI?
Sir, I'm not sure if it has any GA, but there have been demands for GA for Tirunelveli Halwa, sir.
Yeah, that you should say with authority.
Okay.
So Tirunelveli Halwa has got GI.
Okay, sir.
So it has got geographical indication.
Okay.
Nobody else can claim it.
Okay.
So it has got it. Okay, fine. Then Tuticorin, you are telling about, pearl and so many things. But Tuticorin is also equally important for a crop
Okay.
of horticulture nature. What is the crop? Normally, we used to have very well that fulfills the nutritional security of the people. What is the crop? Very important. What are the major crops of Tuticorin? Mainly the Attur, those areas. Wherever the Tamarabarni goes, so that crop grows on the river banks. What is that crop?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you eat banana?
Yes, sir.
Is it not a banana? Is not an important crop of Tuticorin?
Yes, sir. I've seen plantations of banana, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we think that it is only Tanjavur or something like that, but it's Tuticorin is the number one district in the state to cultivate so many this thing.
Okay, sir.
So, okay, it is very important state for banana cultivation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that you should remember.
Okay, sir.
Many players, what are the famous schools in, as far as sports is concerned, I'm asking, in Tirunelveli district, which school is very familiar for this thing, our national game rather?
Sorry, sir. I don't know.
So many hockey players of the state, they come from Tuticorin. Okay, so as it was discussed, why only Tuticorin people they focus on only hockey, so you don't have any idea.
Sorry, sir. I'm hearing about this only from you, sir.
Okay, so so many hockey players they come from there. Fine. ODOP, have we got any idea about ODOP? What is the ODOP?
One district, one product.
One product. Very good. Okay. So, what are the product that Tuticorin is identified for? What is the product of Tuticorin under ODOP scheme?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
So it is marine foods. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then Tirunelveli. So these are the things you should focus
Yes.
on. Okay. Um, long distance running, football. So in recent times, two games are there. First, the cricket was given much importance.
Yes.
Okay. Nowadays, the ISL is becoming popular. But many of our corporates, or big people, they are not sponsoring any Olympic medal winning sports. They are not focusing upon. What could be the reason, or how we have to promote such kind of activities so that India wins the 1.4 billion people populated India wins medal in the Olympics? What would be your suggestion for that?
Sir, for the first question, I think the corporates are spending more on these team sports because of the demand, sir. They are team sports and more people will come to see. But if simple race or javelin throw, people may not turn up. I think this is the reason they are spending more on these kind of team sports. And to develop these individual sports, athletics or track and field, I think it should start with school days itself, sir. Every kid should be made to choose one sport, because sports is a wonderful thing, sir, because it's going to give you happiness, it's going to make you fit also. Nowadays the current generation is not very fit. They are at the age of 12 and all, kids are getting heart attacks. So we should promote this, sir, at the very young age, so that we can achieve great.
No, what would be your suggestion for this kind of thing?
This was my suggestion, sir.
Okay, I have a situational question for you.
Okay.
You're from Tutkudi. 2 years or 3 years back, there was some fighting incident over there.
Yes.
Suppose you are the collector of the district. How will you handle it? Are you aware of the incident?
Yes, sir.
Can you please tell about the incidents in 2 minutes and how you will handle it?
Okay, sir. So it's an issue associated with Sterlite copper plant, sir. People have been demanding for it to close because of the environmental violations and a lot of pollution also. Many people have been diagnosed with cancer, and they thought because of this pollution only we are getting these kind of things, and people protested for a long time. At one day they marched to the collector office, and they became violent. The report says they became violent, and the collector and the deputy tahsildar of the district ordered firing on the people and claimed that they are becoming more violent. They didn't accept our demands and they didn't stop. So it resulted in the death of 13 individuals and many were injured. And what would I have done was, I should not have gone to firing, sir. There are various other methods like tear gases, using waters. I think that could have been a better way than firing at
There
individuals.
is a law and order aspect. What about the factory aspect? How will you handle that? The pollution problem.
Sir, I would have collected the data unbiasedly and found out what are the real reasons. Is this the real reason because the problems are happening in the district? And I would have taken action according to it, sir. If it really happened, I would have ordered the plants to reduce its pollution or close up, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, please come.
Thanks.
So we'll start. We'll have two categories: positive and room for improvement. The positive thing is your articulation is good. You can give words to your thought, and in some cases you're truthful. When you don't know the answer, you say. Though you tend to make an attempt, even if you have 50% knowledge. But with 50% knowledge, no, you will try to fill in the gap with something which may be incorrect, which may anger or provoke some member to go after you. So best is if you don't know, you say I don't know, sir, or say I partially know, like that. So if you're truthful, you will end up getting better marks. There have been people who didn't answer half the questions and yet scored higher. Then you have a patriotic outlook. So that is one point in your favor. You started off with good energy, but as the interview progressed, that was felt by one member, somehow your energy levels came down. Any particular reason? You had breakfast?
Yes, sir. I think my lips are getting dried for some reason. So
We'll have some more.
Okay, so you can.
Keep some more.
Then your body language when you're explaining, no, don't move your hands like this.
Every time they can bring a new glass of water. Can
No,
make it.
no, not now. This is for
No,
future.
yes, yes. Future only.
Body, don't move your hands. Your haircut is little. Go with the haircut when you go for the interview.
yes, sir. Yes, absolutely.
Then there are. So you made some strong comments like war is the last resort. Tell it again.
Violence, sir. Violence is the
the-
last resort of the incompetent.
Income.
Violence is the last. How was it relevant there? Only if a phrase or a proverb is relevant, use it. Otherwise, people get the impression that it's trying to show off. Okay. Only if it is relevant. And calling someone incompetent, these are strong words. Try to use neutral and soft words. Okay. Because the post you're aspiring for is not a street post. It's a different kind of post. Even if Russia and America are going for a nuclear war, when the presidents or the head of state meet, they will shake hands, they will smile at each other. Back home, they're going to tell us, you send the nuclear missile. But that is how we have to be. Very soft, polite language. I am hearing only from you. See, if some information you're getting for the first time, and even if you don't agree with it, you should not use a phrase like this. It is like an insulting phrase. Okay. Some information about the Toothpuri district, and you say, I stand informed. Thank you, sir, for the information. Andamari. Okay. Don't use any word or phrase which will anger or insults the member of the board. Okay. They're very senior people with very, very big egos. Okay. No one is Mother Teresa over there. The moment you go after, you speak like this, they'll bash you up. They'll bash you up in your marks.
He's using unintentional.
Unintentionally also don't do it because they don't understand it. Most of them are at the top of their careers and all that. So I hear only from you is not good. You differ, say, I beg to differ.
I stand informed.
I stand informed, I beg to differ, I stand corrected, and the Mari.
Okay.
Be extremely polite. Okay, think you're going to join the foreign service. Okay, and the Mari, uncle. Then some of your answers are vague, they're not specific.
Okay.
Be very carefully in listening to what the member is asking. If he's asking for ABC, your answer should be ABC, not CDE. Okay. So what information is asking you to that point you should answer. Then pause for a second. Okay. If he asks for elaboration, you elaborate.
Okay.
And some more in-depth knowledge in current affairs, that is what they're feeling. Then soft words. Toothpuri, when did you leave Toothpuri, your native district?
Sir, till I remember, I am in Tiruvallur, sir. I only go there for Pongal or summer holidays.
So you have not lived there for a long time.
Yes.
If you have time, maybe even Wikipedia you can see on Google, Toothpuri and Tirunelveli districts. It will give the whole thing, the geography, the economy.
Sir, actually I prepare, sir, but these facts are very new, sir. I will prepare on it.
No, but they will usually give all these what Toothpuri is famous for. Anyway, Google it and learn what it is famous for. Famous fruits, vegetables, monuments, incidents, Andamari.
Okay.
Personalities. Just for knowledge. Okay. Any other point anyone wants to?
That's what in-depth knowledge about the personality, as sir has mentioned. You mentioned about Subramani Bharati.
Yes.
Then Veerapandi Kattabhavan.
Viva Chidambaram.
Huh?
Viva Chidambaram.
VOC. You should have a thorough knowledge about what is his contribution. Okay, like that actually. He is the only man who served 40 years in jail. Actually. Like that. Entire life has gone in the jail. So you should have those patriotic this thing. You also seems to be patriotic, you should remember those things, Okay. And have a thorough knowledge. He is the very first person to approach Tamil. So how it happened, what he did, all these things you should have a thorough knowledge. So that you will conference level will not go down. More and more the knowledge, confidence will be always high till the end of the interview. That will be. Then uses of words should be proper. Okay, to collect some this thing, use the words properly in a proper manner. as sir said, politeness wins you the marks. No? More than your answers, politeness. That will impress the board. Definitely, they'll try to help you out.
And little more loud. You're very soft.
Okay.
A little more loud. You keep a beard when you.
No, sir, I will shave. Sir.
Will shave and mustache also.
No, sir, mustache I won't shave.
Okay. Fine. This is the trimming of the hair.
Okay.
Instead of a black coat, you can go for a light grey coat.
I have
grey
a
or
dark
light
blue coat also. I can alternatively wear for.
The tie we should still to put it in the proper. Knot should be still paka.
You should go a little up.
Okay.
Otherwise, go for a loose shirt with a loose collar.
Can you tighten it? And this
If
thing.
it's going to choke you, then
Yeah.
you have to change your shirt. Don't choke
Right.
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So little casual, little more tight. Do it in front of a mirror before you go. Okay, wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
All these
Wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you.
Suggestions and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.